sunshine. This young man is going to be your new 2018 National Champion.
I was obsessed with riding my bike. Tape it up and put flags. My mom would go and get flags from Lumberjack that people use for construction sites, and I'd put them all around to make my own track. Mic check, mic check. Since the beginning of the year, I have spent, made it my priority or a main goal of mine to try and document as much of the journey and path of Ivy Labs as I could, whether it was through YouTube, Instagram, documenting races. And every time I would make an upload, something just kind of felt like it was missing, like a part of this story, I guess, that I'm trying to tell was missing. To which my mom said that rather than just showing what we're doing in the present, show why Ivy Labs ever started in the first place. Where did the roots of fitness and supplements grow from and prosper from? Which, for me, is a little bit of a soft spot and a sore spot to talk about. Because I no longer have ties with it. But I thought at some point I'm going to have to get over the hurdle of talking about it. So here we are. This is going to be a 3-part series on the origin of Ivy. I think anyone that comes across my social media, especially friends and family, know that the pinnacle of my life is working out and training, and trying to, I guess, kind of get other people into doing it as well, because it's been such a light in my life for as long as I can remember. So I guess now the only thing to do is talk about where that all started. When I was 9 years old, my dad and I went to a bike shop. And when we walked in the door, the first bike on the left was this little track bike, this little felt track bike. And at the time, 9-year-old mini-me was probably about yay tall. And there were no real bikes that came in my size that would even remotely come close to fitting me. We couldn't put the seat down far enough for me to even reach the pedals. And we came across this track bike that had 650B wheels and a size that you can barely even find online, let alone in store. So my dad and I, well, largely me, thought that it was meant to be. And from this point forward, I needed to do everything I could to get these bikes that I wanted. My dad got me the bike because we had a track about 35 or 40 minutes away from us that I could go to. I had spent a lot of time on bikes as a kid just because I loved being on my bike, and from when I was 4 years old, I started racing motocross, and I would train for that on a bike and mountain biking. My mom would take me out to Addison Oaks and Stony Creek. My Michigan people know what that is, on my little 18-inch BMX bike, just to go ride the trails. But this track bike was really my first introduction, besides a mountain bike race that I had done, to racing. And 5 weeks after the first time I put wheels on that track, my parents thought it was a good idea, and me, to go to national championships. And 5 weeks after I first got on a track, I got my first podium position in like the 10 to 12 category. From that moment forward, I think that I had told myself in my head that there was nothing that I cared about in life more than riding my bike. I grew up on 5 or 6 acres, and I would go out in my backyard and make my own track and tape it up and put flags. My mom would go and get flags from Lumberjack that people use for construction sites, and I'd put them all around to make my own track, build barriers to hop over and jumps, and my own staircases to ride up. I was obsessed with riding my bike. I loved it. There was nothing that I could think of doing more with my life than riding my bike. To a point of, rather than my mom taking away a TV show or grounding me or an Xbox, she would threaten me with taking away my bike as punishment. Because she knew that there was nothing that I wouldn't do to keep riding my bike. So, and that quickly spread into, the track thing kind of dissipated quickly because I loved off-road, I loved mountain biking, and soon after that I found cyclocross. And I went to my first few cyclocross races and national championships. And I loved it. Of course I did. It was a bike. That's all I wanted to do. There came a time where, of course, you get a little bit older and you need to spend time doing other things like school. And I thought at 12 years old that I'm going to start asking my parents if I can be homeschooled or do online school so that I didn't have to worry about being absent, and my mom and dad didn't have to worry about getting letters about certain absences for me going to races. So at 13 years old, I made a PowerPoint presentation to put up on the TV and show my parents on why I needed to be homeschooled and do online school. Some time had passed, maybe another year went by, and I think they knew that at that point I was so committed to this and being online school just so that I could go to more races and ride my bike more. So they did, they agreed to it. And that passion continued to grow. And then there was a time that I remember that switch flipping from going from the only thing that I cared about was training and working out and riding my bike because I loved it, to the number one thing replacing it, and that was winning.